Jack Harper leaned back in the pilot's seat of his small transport ship, staring at the flickering lights of the orbital station ahead. The station hung above the lifeless planet like a forgotten giant, half in shadow, half glowing in the pale light of the distant sun. To most people, it looked abandoned and worthless, a relic left to drift in space forever. But to Jack, it was something else. It was opportunity. He had been a Marine for most of his adult life. He had fought in wars that spanned 3-star systems. He had seen things that most people could not imagine, things that made him respect the quiet and the empty more than the noise of battle. The thrill of combat had faded for him. Now he wanted a project he could call his own, something he could fix, shape, and rebuild. This station, forgotten by the galaxy and left for scrap, called to him. Jack's small crew was with him. Claire Harrison, a bright engineer with quick hands and a sharp mind, sat beside him, checking the ship's systems. Her brown hair was pulled back in a tight braid, and her eyes moved constantly over the controls. She had a way of finding solutions before anyone even noticed there was a problem. Luke Carter, their systems specialist, leaned against the wall behind them, flipping through a tablet full of schematics and blueprints. He had joined them for the challenge and the thrill of working on something that no one else wanted. "Do you really think this thing will hold together?" Claire asked, her voice calm but with an edge of excitement. "It has to," Jack said. "If it falls apart now, we won't even get a chance to start repairs. The frame looks old but solid." "Someone built it to last, even if no one remembers why." Luke laughed softly. "I like it when you talk like that. Makes it feel like a real adventure. This place is like a ghost waiting to tell us its secrets." The transport ship glided closer, its small thrusters adjusting to the weak gravitational pull of the planet below. The station was enormous, far larger than anything the three had worked on before. Its surface was scarred, with missing panels, broken antennas, and entire sections that seemed to float loose. Yet it still had a sense of life, as if it had been designed with purpose and intelligence that no longer existed. Jack docked the ship carefully, using his experience as a Marine and a pilot. The clamps locked onto the station's hull with a soft hiss, and the docking bay lights flickered on. They were met with silence, the kind of quiet that made the hair on the back of your neck rise. The airlock opened and a small ramp extended. Claire went first, stepping carefully onto the station's cold metal floor. "It smells old," she said, her voice echoing slightly, "like metal and dust and time itself." Jack followed, his boots clanging softly against the floor. He had seen abandoned ships before, even entire colonies left to rot, but this station was different. It had a weight, a presence. He could feel it in his chest, a mixture of excitement and unease. The station's interior was a maze of corridors and empty rooms. The lights flickered sporadically, powered by weak emergency systems. Broken consoles lined the walls, screens cracked or dark, and wiring hung like vines from the ceilings. It looked like no one had stepped inside for decades. "Where do we start?" Luke asked, flipping open his tablet and shining a small light into a nearby hallway. Jack paused, looking down one of the dark corridors. "We start at the core," he said. "We find the main control room, check the power systems, and see if we can wake this place up. Then we explore." The three moved carefully, using flashlights to guide their way. The corridors were long and winding, with strange markings etched into the walls. Some looked like technical symbols, others like warnings in a language none of them could read. Every step echoed, making the emptiness feel larger. After an hour of moving through the station, they reached the main control area. The room was massive, with consoles arranged in a semicircle and a large view window overlooking the planet below. Dust and debris covered everything. Jack knelt beside a console, brushing the dirt off with his gloved hand. "These were the old command panels," he said. "Everything looks like it was state-of-the-art for its time. Some kind of military or research station, maybe both." Claire examined a power conduit running along the floor. "The main cores are offline, but the wiring is mostly intact. We can get some sections online quickly." "It won't be easy, but it's possible." Luke crouched near a console that still had faint traces of alien symbols on its screen. "And what about this? I've never seen a language like this before. It's not human." Jack looked over his shoulder. "Doesn't matter right now. We fix the station first. We figure out the rest later. Let's get it breathing again." They worked for hours, connecting power modules, rerouting energy conduits, and testing systems. Jack's hands moved confidently, guided by years of experience in the field. Claire and Luke followed his lead, offering ideas and adjusting plans on the fly. The station creaked as energy flowed through it again, lights flickering more steadily, screens sparking to life. Suddenly, one of the central consoles activated fully, displaying a holographic map of the station. Jack stared at it, feeling a shiver run down his spine. The map highlighted hidden sections, corridors that were not visible from their initial exploration. "Looks like there's more here than we thought," Claire said, her voice soft with awe. "Some of these rooms, they're sealed off. Whoever built this didn't want anyone to find them." Jack nodded. "That's why we're here. Let's see what they were hiding." As they moved toward the first sealed area, the station seemed to react. A soft hum echoed through the corridors, and small lights blinked on in patterns they could not understand. Automated doors opened slowly, revealing long-abandoned labs and storage areas filled with crates and containers. Some crates held strange equipment, alien in design, with unknown functions. Others contained old human technology, weapons, and tools that had not been used in decades. Jack ran his hand over one of the crates, feeling the cold metal. Someone went to a lot of trouble to make this place secure. This isn't just a station, it's a vault. Luke examined a container with strange energy cores inside. "These could power the station for years if we handle them right," he said. "I've never seen anything like this. It's not dangerous, but it's special." Claire walked down a corridor that led to what looked like living quarters. The furniture was old, broken, and covered in dust. Personal items lay scattered across the floor, books, clothes, and small personal devices. "People lived here," she said quietly. "They left in a hurry or they were forced out. Either way, it doesn't look peaceful." Jack felt a tightness in his chest. He had expected to find something abandoned, maybe dangerous, but he hadn't expected to feel the weight of the people who had once lived here. The ghosts of the past seemed to linger in the walls, waiting for someone to notice them. As night fell on the planet below, the station's lights glowed more brightly, powered by the restored cores. Jack, Claire, and Luke sat together in the central control room, exhausted but satisfied. "We've done it," Claire said, leaning back in a chair. "The station is alive again." Jack smiled faintly. "Alive, but it's still hiding its secrets. I can feel it. There's more here than just metal and wires, something buried, something important." Luke looked at the holographic map, tracing the lines with his finger. "If these hidden sections are anything like the rest of the station, we're in for surprises, big surprises." Jack nodded. He stared out the window at the blackness of space, feeling a mix of excitement and unease. The station was more than a project now. It was a mystery, one that had chosen him, and he was ready to uncover it piece by piece. Outside, the stars shone cold and distant. The galaxy moved on, indifferent to the small human crew aboard the old station. But inside, the station hummed with new life, waiting for the humans who dared to bring it back. Jack knew that this was only the beginning. Somewhere in the shadows of the corridors, hidden by time and secrecy, the station held answers. Answers that could change everything. And Jack Harper, ex-Marine, was determined to find them. The station had begun to breathe again. Soft lights hummed along the walls. The air systems circulated oxygen evenly, and the faint vibration of power coursing through its metal bones made it feel almost alive. Jack Harper moved through the corridors with a careful step, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He knew the station was more than a machine. It was a legacy left behind by those who had built it, and now it was his task to understand it. Claire Harrison followed him closely, her hands occasionally brushing against exposed wires or consoles. She examined everything with a keen eye, repairing circuits, replacing broken panels, and making small modifications to allow the old systems to function with modern components. She was methodical, precise, and sometimes impatient, but her skill was unmatched. Luke Carter stayed a few steps behind, scanning each section they entered. His tablet glowed in the dim light as he recorded every anomaly, every pattern, and every strange symbol he found. The station's architecture was strange, almost organic in some places. Hallways curved at impossible angles, and doors opened into rooms that seemed too large for the space they occupied. It was like the station had grown, rather than been built. Jack paused at the central control room, looking over the holographic display they had activated the night before. He had spent hours studying it, tracing hidden corridors and sealed rooms. "We need to get to those sealed areas," he said. Whatever is behind them could tell us what this station really was for. Claire nodded. I can open the first one. The lock mechanism is old but simple. It's more like a puzzle than a barrier. Someone wanted it closed, but they didn't expect it to last forever. They moved toward the nearest sealed door. Claire crouched, her fingers moving quickly over the control panel. Sparks flew briefly, and the lock clicked open. The door slid aside, revealing a long corridor that smelled faintly of ozone and oil. Jack stepped in first, holding a flashlight, his eyes adjusting to the darkness. The corridor led to a series of rooms filled with equipment. Some of it was human-made, though outdated and worn. Other machines were clearly alien, their shapes and symbols unfamiliar. They pulsed faintly, as if they still remembered the hands that built them. "Look at this," Luke said, pointing to a container in the corner. He opened it, revealing a stack of data crystals. "These are old, really old. But if the system still read them, they could have information about who built this place and why." Jack examined the crystals carefully. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We need to power up the reading terminals first. Once we have that, we can see what the station is hiding." They set up a small terminal, connecting it to one of the main power lines. Claire adjusted the energy flow to match the station's older systems. Slowly, the terminal flickered to life. A soft hum rose from it, and the screen displayed strings of characters, some human, some alien. Luke's eyes widened. "This is incredible. Some of it is human language, but most of it I don't even know. It's not like anything we've seen before." Jack nodded. "Then we decode what we can. Start with the human parts. They may give us a clue about the alien sections." For hours they worked. Claire repaired circuits to stabilize the reading terminals, while Luke focused on deciphering the patterns. Jack kept a steady watch over the corridors, making sure the station's systems remained stable and that nothing unexpected happened. As the hours passed, fragments of messages appeared. They were records of meetings, trade, and exchanges between humans and alien species that had long been declared forbidden. The messages spoke of secret alliances, of shared technology, and of experiments that had been erased from galactic history. "Jack," Luke said, his voice low, "this isn't just a station, this was a meeting place. Humans and aliens worked together here, and it was all meant to be hidden from the rest of the galaxy." Jack's jaw tightened. "Then whoever built this didn't want anyone to know, but why?" "What were they hiding?" Claire looked up from a console she had repaired. "It's not just messages. There's data about energy cores, weapon prototypes, even starship designs. This is advanced, way beyond what any government or corporation would approve of." Jack felt a familiar thrill. He had been a Marine for years, trained to see danger, to understand strategy and tactics. But this was different. This was a puzzle, a test of human ingenuity. And he knew that humans were capable of rising to any challenge, no matter how complex or dangerous. As they explored further, the station seemed to react. Lights flickered without reason, doors opened on their own, and the faint hum of machinery pulsed like a heartbeat. Jack could feel it in his chest. The station was alive, aware, and cautious. "Do you think it's the AI?" Claire asked, her voice a whisper. "Maybe," Jack replied. "But it's old. If it's awake, it's been waiting a long time for someone it could trust." They reached another sealed area, larger than the first. Claire knelt at the panel, working quickly. The mechanism clicked and the door opened. Inside was a lab filled with alien devices that glowed faintly. Some seemed to store energy, others emitted soft sounds that made the air vibrate. Luke stepped forward, examining a holographic projector. "These aren't just machines, they're tools, some kind of interface with the station itself." Whoever used this, they could control the station remotely. Jack looked around, his mind racing. "Then we need to be careful. If the original users left traps, we could trigger them without knowing." Claire smiled faintly. "Good thing we're humans, we improvise." They spent days exploring, repairing, and learning. Jack's military training gave him discipline and caution. Claire's engineering skill brought life back to broken systems. Luke's technical knowledge helped them understand what they found. Together, they began to unlock the secrets of the station, piece by piece. During one late-night session, Luke discovered a hidden data core buried beneath layers of panels. "This is different," he said, his voice tense with excitement. "It's encrypted, but it looks like it contains logs of direct communication with the alien alliance." Jack's eyes narrowed. "Then that's our next step. We decrypt it, carefully." As Luke worked, Jack walked the corridors, listening to the faint hum of the station. He could feel the weight of history around him. This station had seen things that no one else had. It had been part of something forbidden, something dangerous, and now it was alive again because of humans. Hours later, the decryption was complete. Holographic recordings flickered to life, showing meetings between humans and alien representatives. They spoke of shared knowledge, of advanced technology, and of plans that had been erased from the galaxy's memory. The alliance had been strong but secret. And the consequences of exposure had been severe. Jack watched, feeling a mix of awe and concern. "This is big," he said quietly. "If anyone else finds out about this, it could start wars or worse. We have to be careful." Claire nodded. "We also have an opportunity. We can learn, adapt, and maybe even use this knowledge to make humanity stronger. That's what we do. That's what we are good at." Jack smiled faintly. He thought about the battles he had fought, the enemies he had faced, and the systems he had learned to understand. Humans were not the fastest, strongest, or most advanced species in the galaxy, but they were clever, adaptable, and determined. That was why they survived. That was why they succeeded. The station seemed to respond to their resolve. Systems that had not worked for decades hummed steadily. Doors opened automatically, guiding them to areas they had not explored. Small drones, dormant for centuries, activated and followed their movements. The station, once a tomb of secrets, was becoming a living ally. Jack, Claire, and Luke realized that they were not just restoring a station. They were awakening a guardian, a keeper of forbidden knowledge, and the galaxy was watching, though they did not know it yet. Jack stood by the central console, staring at the planet below. The darkness was endless, and the stars above were cold and distant. Yet inside the station there was warmth, life, and purpose. Humans had returned to a place that others had abandoned. They were not here by accident. They were chosen by their courage, skill, and curiosity. "Tomorrow we explore the next section," Jack said. "We take it slow, but we keep going. The secrets this station holds, they could change everything we know about our history." Claire smiled. "I like the sound of that, and I like working with humans who never give up." Luke laughed softly. "It's going to be an adventure, and we're going to learn more than anyone ever thought possible." Jack nodded. He felt the familiar fire of determination that had carried him through battles and long missions. Humans were not the strongest. They were not the most numerous, but they had something the galaxy underestimated: intelligence, courage, and the will to survive against all odds. The station pulsed softly beneath their feet, as if acknowledging his thoughts. It had waited centuries for humans to return. And now it had found them. Jack Harper, ex-Marine, looked at his crew and smiled. The work had only just begun. They had revived the station, uncovered fragments of a forbidden alliance, and proven that humans could achieve what others could not. And tomorrow they would go deeper. The days turned into nights aboard the orbital station, though in space, the concept of day and night was meaningless. Jack Harper, Claire Harrison, and Luke Carter had spent countless hours exploring, repairing, and learning. The station had started to reveal its secrets slowly, as if testing their patience and resolve. Now they were ready to go further into areas that had been sealed for centuries. Jack led the way through a long corridor, the soft hum of the station beneath their feet. Lights flickered as they moved, and the air smelled faintly of old metal and ionized energy. Claire followed with her toolkit in hand, ready to repair anything that might fail. Luke trailed behind, holding a portable scanner to record readings and monitor the environment. "According to the map, the next section is the largest," Luke said, his voice echoing in the quiet hallway. "It's marked as a restricted zone. Whatever is in there, they didn't want anyone to see it." Jack nodded. "Then we need to be careful, but we also need to see it." "That's why we're here." The door to the restricted zone was massive. Claire examined the control panel and started working on the old mechanism. Sparks flew as she manipulated circuits and energy conduits, and slowly the heavy door slid open. A cold draft escaped from the room, carrying the faint smell of ozone and dust. Inside, the room was enormous, larger than anything they had seen before. Holographic projectors lined the walls, casting faint blue light. Strange machines hummed softly, their purpose unclear. And in the center of the room, a series of data cores floated in energy fields, glowing like frozen stars. Jack stepped forward, examining the cores. "This is it," he whispered. "This is what they were hiding." Luke approached carefully, his scanner lighting up as he moved closer. "These cores contain information from both humans and aliens. Whoever built this station wanted it protected, and they were serious about it. Claire looked at one of the holographic projectors. If we can access the cores, we can see everything. The meetings, the agreements, the technology, maybe even the reason why this alliance was forbidden. Jack nodded. Then we do it, but slowly. We don't know what kind of security measures they left behind. They began the process of connecting the cores to the station systems. Claire carefully adjusted the energy flow, making sure nothing overloaded. Luke interfaced his scanner with the cores, translating patterns and symbols into readable information. Jack kept watch, his military instincts alert to any signs of danger. After hours of work, the first holographic recording flickered to life. It showed a human representative speaking to an alien council. The alien species were tall, with pale blue skin and large black eyes. Their voices were calm, measured, but there was an air of authority that made it clear they were not to be trifled with. Jack watched silently, understanding the weight of what they were seeing. "This is incredible," he said quietly. "Humans and aliens working together secretly." No one knew this existed. Luke's eyes were wide. And it looks like they were trading knowledge, technology, energy systems, even starship designs. This is way beyond what the galaxy allows. Claire adjusted the projector to focus on another core. Look at this. These humans weren't just working with the aliens. They were sharing strategy, planning defenses, and building something bigger than any single species could manage alone. Jack felt a thrill run through him. Humans were never supposed to be part of this alliance, at least publicly. They were considered weak, limited, and unimportant. Yet here they were, shaping events in a way no one else could see. As they watched, more recordings appeared. Meetings, experiments, and exchanges filled the room. Some of the aliens spoke of dangers that humans had faced and overcome. Some of the humans explained how human creativity and adaptability had helped them succeed where others had failed. Jack realized that humans had always been underestimated, but they had the ability to do the impossible when they used their minds and courage. "This is why they banned it," Luke said, finally breaking the silence. "The Galactic Council didn't want humans involved. They didn't trust them, or maybe they didn't want anyone else to benefit from human ingenuity." Jack nodded. "They underestimated us. They always do." Claire examined a set of energy cores that seemed to power the station. "And these aren't just for show. They could power ships, weapons, or even an entire colony. Whoever built this alliance planned for humans to be strong, to have an advantage if they needed it." Jack's mind worked quickly. He thought about the galaxy outside, about the council that tried to control humans and the species that looked down on them. Humans were not the fastest, the strongest, or the most advanced, but they were clever, adaptable, and determined. That was why they could do what no one else expected. As they continued to explore, Luke found a series of encrypted logs. "These are personal messages," he said, "between humans who were part of the alliance. They talk about risks, fear, and responsibility." They knew what they were doing could be dangerous if discovered. Jack stepped closer. "Read them carefully. Every detail matters. This is history no one else can see." The logs revealed struggles, sacrifices, and courage. Humans had taken risks to protect the knowledge of the alliance. They had hidden information, designed secure stations, and created systems that only humans could understand fully. Jack realized that their presence here, reviving the station, was exactly what the Alliance had intended. "It's like they chose us," Claire said quietly. "Like they wanted humans to find this station when the time was right." Jack felt a deep sense of responsibility. "Then we have to honor that trust. We have to be careful and we have to be smart. The galaxy isn't ready for this knowledge, but we are." Suddenly, the station shivered. A low vibration ran through the floor and lights flickered. Jack tensed, drawing on his marine training. "Something's activating," he said. "Stay alert." Automated drones emerged from hidden compartments. They hovered silently, scanning the room. Jack raised a hand to signal the others to hold position. The drones seemed to recognize them, pausing briefly as if assessing their intentions. Claire stepped forward slowly. "They're not attacking," she said. "They're observing us." Luke frowned. "Do you think the station is testing us?" Jack nodded. "It knows we're human. It knows what we can do, and it's deciding if we can be trusted." The drones moved aside, revealing a hidden terminal. Holographic symbols appeared, glowing faintly. Jack approached, realizing that the station itself was communicating. It was alive, aware, and capable of judgment. He placed his hand on the terminal. Images and data flowed through his mind, showing plans, warnings, and instructions left by the original Alliance. The station was more than a repository of knowledge. It was a protector, a guardian designed to ensure that humans could access the Alliance when they were ready. "This is incredible," Jack whispered. "The station, it's choosing us." Claire and Luke joined him, all written on their faces. "We're part of something bigger," Claire said. "Something the galaxy has forgotten or tried to forget." Jack looked out the window at the stars beyond. Humans were small, fragile, and underestimated. Yet here they were, entrusted with secrets that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. He felt a surge of pride. Humans were not weak. They were resourceful, clever, and courageous. That was why they had survived. That was why they were capable of great things. As they explored the final sections of the restricted zone, they discovered plans for energy systems, starships, and weapons designed for defense and exploration. Every system was based on human adaptability, with interfaces that required intuition and creativity. It was clear that humans had been intended to use these technologies in ways others could not predict. Luke looked at Jack with wide eyes. "This is bigger than anything we imagined. If we take this knowledge, we could change humanity's place in the galaxy." Jack nodded slowly. "But we have to be careful. The Council banned this alliance for a reason. Others would try to stop us or use it for their own gain. We do this right and we protect the station. That's our first priority." Claire smiled faintly. "We're ready. We've already brought the station back to life. Now we'll see what it wants to teach us." For the first time, the three humans felt the true weight of their mission. They were not just exploring an old station. They were stepping into history, into a story forgotten by the galaxy, and taking responsibility for knowledge that could shift the balance of power. The station pulsed softly beneath their feet, as if acknowledging their presence. Holographic data continued to flow, showing human and alien cooperation, bravery, and ingenuity. Jack understood that this was not just about technology. It was about humans. Their creativity, courage, and determination were what made them capable of awakening a station, uncovering forbidden knowledge, and surviving challenges no one else could face. "This is our chance," Jack said quietly. "Humans always rise when others doubt them. Now it's our turn." The station hummed in response. It had waited centuries for humans to return. And now, Jack Harper, ex-Marine, and his small crew were ready to uncover every secret it had to offer. The galaxy beyond was unaware of what was happening above the lifeless planet. But inside the station, the seeds of change were taking root. The Forbidden Alliance, once hidden and erased, was coming to life again. And humans were at the center of it all. Jack Harper stood in the central control room, staring at the holographic map of the orbital station. The past weeks had been exhausting. He, Claire, and Luke had restored systems, explored sealed areas, and uncovered secrets that had been hidden for centuries. The station had awakened under their hands, revealing the forbidden alliance between humans and aliens that the galaxy had erased from memory. But Jack knew their work was not over. He could feel it in his chest, a tension that had grown over the last few days. The more knowledge they uncovered, the more dangerous it became. Someone or something was watching. Claire adjusted a terminal beside him. "The station is stable," she said. "All systems are online, even the security drones are cooperating. It's like the station knows we're humans, it trusts us." Luke moved to another console, scanning recent data streams. "I've detected faint signals from outside. Someone is approaching. They're not broadcasting, but they're getting closer." Jack's jaw tightened. "Then we prepare. We've brought this station back to life. We can't let anyone take it from us." They moved quickly, checking power conduits, reinforcing doors, and activating the station's automated defenses. Jack's military training came alive. He set traps, rerouted energy flows to create barriers, and prepared the station to respond to any intrusion. Claire and Luke worked with him, using human ingenuity to adapt systems the original builders had designed centuries ago. Hours later, the approaching ships came into view. They were sleek, black starships, heavily armed and moving with precision. Jack recognized the type immediately. These were raiders, mercenaries hired to seize advanced technology. They had likely detected the station's reactivation and traced the energy signals. "They're here for the cores," Luke said. "They know this station is valuable. We can't let them take it." Jack nodded. "Then we fight smart. Humans don't always have the biggest weapons, but we know how to use what we have. That's why we survive. The first attack came without warning. Small fighter ships darted through the void, launching energy pulses at the station. The outer hull shuddered under the impacts, but Jack had anticipated this. Automated turrets rose from the station's surface, firing in calculated patterns that the attackers could not predict. Claire operated the central energy relay, directing power to defensive systems. "The station's responding faster than I expected," she said, her eyes wide. "It's like it knows our strategy before we do." Luke monitored the raiders' approach. "They're trying to disable the shields, but every move they make, the station adapts. It's like it's alive." Jack smiled faintly. "It is alive, and it trusts humans to defend it. Let's show them what humans can do." The battle intensified. Jack coordinated the station's defenses, predicting enemy movements and exploiting weaknesses. He instructed Claire to redirect power to areas where shields had weakened, while Luke calculated trajectories for counterattacks. The raiders were skilled, but they had underestimated the humans and the station. Despite their small numbers, the humans used every advantage. They activated hidden turrets, opened pressure channels to redirect energy blasts, and even manipulated the station's gravity systems to throw attackers off balance. Every action was precise, every decision calculated. Jack felt the familiar rush of adrenaline. This was different from his days as a Marine, but the principles were the same. Observe, adapt, and strike when the moment was right. Humans had survived countless battles because they could think, improvise, and outsmart stronger opponents. That skill was proving invaluable now. Hours passed, and the raiders' attacks grew desperate. They had lost several ships, and their formation was breaking. Jack seized the opportunity. He directed the station's defenses to isolate the remaining attackers, cutting off their escape routes. Automated systems fired with unerring accuracy, disabling engines and neutralizing weapons. Finally, the last raider ship retreated, its hull smoking and damaged. Jack exhaled slowly, feeling the tension in his body ease. The station had survived, and the humans had proven their worth. Claire leaned against a console, wiping sweat from her forehead. "We did it," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I can't believe it. We actually did it." Luke nodded, scanning the aftermath. "The station is intact and the cores are safe. No one can take this from us now." Jack looked out the window at the empty space beyond. The stars were calm and distant, indifferent to the small human victory, but inside the station there was life, energy, and purpose. Humans had restored what others had abandoned. They had defended it when others thought it was impossible. And they had done it not because they were the strongest, but because they were clever, brave, and determined. He turned to his crew. "This station isn't just a building or a machine. It's a symbol, a reminder that humans can do what others can't. We were underestimated, dismissed, and forgotten, but we survived, and we can thrive." Claire smiled. "It feels like the station chose us. Like it knew humans were the only ones who could bring it back to life and protect it." Jack nodded. "Exactly. Humans have always done more with less. We adapt, we improvise, and we endure. That's why we're still here, and that's why this station is ours to protect." Luke stepped forward, examining the holographic map. "And now we can use the knowledge we've uncovered. The alliance, the technology, the strategies, this could help humanity in ways no one ever imagined." Jack's eyes sparkled with determination. "We'll take what we can, learn everything we can, and keep the station safe. Others will come, and some will try to take it from us. But we'll be ready. Humans always are." Days turned into weeks as they stabilized the station, cataloged the data, and learned to operate the advanced systems left behind by the Forbidden Alliance. They discovered energy cores that could power starships, weapons designed for defense, and advanced communication systems that could reach across the galaxy. Every discovery reminded Jack of one thing: humans could achieve what others could not because they were perfect, but because they never gave up. The station had become more than a project. It was a home, a laboratory, and a fortress. And the humans who restored it had become its guardians. Jack, Claire, and Luke knew that they were part of something larger than themselves. They had awakened history, brought knowledge back to life, and proven that humanity could rise when others doubted them. One evening, Jack stood by the observation window, looking down at the planet below. The silence of space stretched endlessly, and the stars glimmered faintly. He felt a deep sense of pride and responsibility. Humans had been underestimated for centuries, yet here they were, standing at the center of a legacy that no one else had touched. Claire joined him, her eyes reflecting the pale light. "Do you ever think about what we've done? We've changed things just by being here." Jack smiled faintly. "I do. Humans have always been underestimated, but we adapt, we endure, and we find ways to succeed. That's who we are." Luke appeared beside them holding a small data pad. "The station is secure, the cores are protected. And the records we've recovered, they'll guide us. Humans will learn from them just like the original Alliance intended." Jack nodded. "Then our work is not done. We've defended the station, but we also have to understand it, learn from it, use it wisely. Humans can't just survive, we have to thrive." For the first time, Jack felt the weight of their achievement settle. The station, once abandoned and forgotten, now stood alive, protected, and guided by humans. They had brought it back to life, uncovered a forbidden alliance, and proven that humanity's strength was not in numbers or firepower, but in courage, intelligence, and determination. The station pulsed softly beneath their feet, as if acknowledging its new guardians. Jack knew that challenges would come again, that the galaxy would not forget this place. But he also knew one thing with certainty: humans were ready. Jack turned to Claire and Luke, a determined smile on his face. "We did it, but this is only the beginning. The station has chosen us, and now we choose to protect it, to learn from it, and to show the galaxy what humans are capable of." Claire and Luke nodded, their faces reflecting the same resolve. They had survived the unknown, restored a station, uncovered secrets, and defended their work. They were humans, and they had proven that humans could rise above any challenge. Jack looked out at the stars one last time that evening, feeling a deep sense of hope. Humans had awakened the station, uncovered a forbidden alliance, and defended it against all odds. The galaxy might not understand them, might even fear them, but humans had once again proven their ingenuity, courage, and determination. And as the station's lights glowed softly around them, Jack Harper, ex-Marine, knew that the future was theirs to shape. The station, once forgotten, had become a symbol of human resilience and potential. And humanity, underestimated and overlooked for so long, was ready to rise. Human ex-Marine rebuilds an old orbital station and uncovers a buried forbidden alliance.